Hello there, and welcome to Whispered Knowledge. I'm glad you found your way here tonight. Maybe you've had a long day, or perhaps you're simply the kind of person who likes drifting off to the gentle rhythm of fascinating facts, rather than staring at the ceiling. Either way, you're in the right place. Tonight, we're exploring something you do every single night of your life, something so fundamental that you'll spend roughly 1/3 of your entire existence doing it. We're talking about sleep and dreams. Those mysterious hours when consciousness fades, when the world around you dissolves, and your mind embarks on journeys both strange and essential. Over the next couple of hours, we'll uncover 100 remarkable facts about sleep and dreams, from the intricate architecture of your sleep cycles to the bizarre landscapes of your dreaming mind, from the science of memory consolidation to the mysteries that still puzzle researchers today. You don't need to do anything but relax. Let your breathing slow, your muscles soften, and your thoughts drift wherever they want to go. If you find these calm, curious explorations helpful for unwinding at the end of your day, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. It helps others discover this quiet corner of the internet, one peaceful soul at a time. Now, let's begin our journey into the night. Sleep is not a single, uniform state. When you close your eyes and drift away, you don't simply switch off like a light. Instead, you embark on a carefully choreographed journey through distinct stages, each with its own purpose and characteristics. Scientists have discovered that sleep consists of two fundamentally different types: rapid eye movement sleep, known as REM, and non-rapid eye movement sleep, called NREM. Think of these as two different countries your brain visits each night, each with its own landscape and rules. NREM sleep itself divides into 3 separate stages, numbered 1 through 3, each progressively deeper than the last. Stage 1 is the lightest, that drowsy transition between wakefulness and sleep, where you might still hear distant sounds or feel the world around you. It typically lasts only 5 to 10 minutes, a gentle threshold you cross. As your brain waves begin to slow, your eyes may move slowly beneath your closed eyelids and your muscles start to relax, though you can still be easily awakened. Some people experience those sudden jerking movements called hypnic jerks during this stage, that sensation of falling that jolts you back toward wakefulness for a brief moment. Stage 2 is where you spend the most time each night, roughly 45% of your total sleep. This is proper sleep now, deeper than stage 1, but not yet the profound depths of stage 3. Your heart rate slows, your breathing becomes more regular, and your body temperature drops slightly as your system prepares for the deepest sleep to come. Brain activity during stage 2 shows fascinating patterns called sleep spindles and K-complexes, brief bursts of neural activity that researchers believe play crucial roles in memory consolidation and learning. These sleep spindles occur every few seconds, rapid bursts of brainwaves that may help protect your sleep from external disturbances, while simultaneously strengthening the connections between neurons that encode your memories. Stage 2 sleep periods grow longer with each successive cycle through the night, as if your brain needs more time in this particular state as the hours pass. Then comes stage 3, the deepest valley of non-REM sleep, sometimes called slow wave sleep because of the large, slow delta waves that dominate your brain activity. This is the sleep that truly restores you. During stage 3, your brain waves slow dramatically to just 1 to 4 cycles per second. These massive, rolling oscillations that sweep through your neural landscape like ocean swells. Your blood pressure drops, your breathing becomes slow and rhythmic, and your muscles relax completely. This is when your body gets to work on physical restoration. Growth hormone releases impulses, spurring the repair of tissues and muscles. Your immune system strengthens its defenses. Cells regenerate and rebuild. In adults, stage 3 sleep makes up about 25% of total sleep time, but this varies dramatically with age. Babies and young children need much more of this restorative deep sleep, while older adults get progressively less. One reason why sleep often feels less refreshing as we age. If someone wakes you from stage 3 sleep, you'll likely feel disoriented and confused, experiencing what researchers call sleep inertia, that foggy, disconnected feeling that can last up to 30 minutes. Your brain was so far from wakefulness that it needs time to find its way back. After cycling through these NREM stages, something remarkable happens. Roughly 90 minutes after you first fell asleep, you enter REM sleep for the first time. This is where the rules change entirely. Your brain activity during REM sleep looks remarkably similar to wakefulness, almost indistinguishable in many ways, yet you remain deeply asleep. Your eyes dart rapidly back and forth beneath your closed lids, giving this stage its name. Your breathing becomes faster and irregular. Your heart rate increases. But here's the fascinating paradox. While your brain buzzes with activity, most of your voluntary muscles become temporarily paralyzed, a protective mechanism that prevents you from acting out your dreams. Only your diaphragm and the muscles that control your eyes continue to function normally. This temporary paralysis is why you can dream of running, fighting, or flying without actually moving. Your first REM period might last only 10 minutes, but as the night progresses, REM periods grow longer and longer. By morning, you might spend a full hour in REM sleep during a single cycle. A complete sleep cycle, moving through all the NREM stages and into REM, takes about 90 to 120 minutes. Most people complete 4 to 6 of these cycles each night, assuming they get a full 8 hours of sleep. But the composition of these cycles shifts as night becomes morning. Early cycles contain more deep stage 3 sleep, that crucial, restorative, slow-wave sleep your body needs for physical recovery. Later cycles contain progressively more REM sleep and stage 2 sleep, with stage 3 sometimes disappearing entirely from the early morning hours. It's as if your brain front-loads the physical restoration it needs, then dedicates more time to the mental processing that happens during REM. This changing pattern means that even if you get 6 hours of sleep instead of 8, you're not just losing 2 hours of identical sleep. You're specifically losing the REM-rich sleep of the early morning, the dreaming sleep that plays such important roles in emotional processing and memory consolidation. This is one reason why cutting sleep short, even by what seems like a modest amount, can have such disproportionate effects on how you feel and function. The total amount of time spent in each sleep stage reveals fascinating patterns. Adults spend roughly 50% of the night in stage 2 sleep, that middle ground between light dozing and deep restoration. About 25% goes to the restorative depths of stage 3, another 20 to 25% to REM sleep, and just 5 to 10% in that brief transition of stage 1. But these percentages shift dramatically across the human lifespan. Newborn babies spend approximately 50% of their sleep in REM, far more than adults, and their sleep cycles are much shorter, just 50 to 60 minutes instead of 90 to 120. Researchers theorize this abundance of REM sleep in infancy supports the explosive brain development happening in those early months and years, though the exact relationship between REM sleep and neural development is still being studied. As children grow, REM sleep decreases and shifts toward the later portions of the night, more closely resembling adult patterns. By the time you reach old age, stage 3 sleep often diminishes significantly. One reason why elderly people frequently report feeling less rested, even when they spend adequate time in bed. Sleep cycles don't just change across a lifetime. They vary from person to person, and even from night to night in the same individual. Factors like recent sleep patterns, alcohol consumption, medications, stress levels, and underlying health conditions can all alter the architecture of your sleep. Someone recovering from several nights of poor sleep might experience what researchers call REM rebound, or slow wave sleep rebound, spending extra time in whichever stage they've been deprived of, as if the brain is trying to catch up on what it missed. This suggests that different sleep stages serve non-interchangeable functions. You can't simply substitute more stage 2 sleep for the stage 3 sleep you lost. Your brain knows what it needs and will try to reclaim it when given the opportunity. The discovery of these sleep stages revolutionized our understanding of what happens during the night. Before electroencephalography allowed scientists to measure brain waves during sleep, people assumed sleep was a passive, uniform state of unconsciousness. The revelation that the sleeping brain moves through these distinct, active phases, that it's busy doing specific work during each stage, transforms sleep from a mere absence of wakefulness into a dynamic, purposeful process. Even today, researchers continue to discover new details about what happens during each stage, what the brain accomplishes, what purposes are served by these nightly journeys through the landscape of sleep. And then there are the dreams, those strange, vivid experiences that arise primarily, though not exclusively, from REM sleep. Dreams have fascinated humanity for as long as we've had the language to describe them. Ancient civilizations believed dreams were messages from the gods, glimpses into other realms, prophecies of things to come. Even today, with all our scientific understanding, dreams retain an air of mystery and magic. What are dreams, really? At the most basic level, they're mental, emotional, or sensory experiences that occur during sleep. Visual imagery dominates most dreams, a cascade of scenes and scenarios that can feel completely real while you're experiencing them. But dreams can also involve sounds, physical sensations, tastes, smells, and intense emotions. You might dream in vivid color or in black and white. You might dream in languages you don't speak when awake, or find yourself doing impossible things with perfect confidence. While dreams can technically occur during any sleep stage, the most memorable, bizarre, and emotionally intense dreams arise from REM sleep. During NREM sleep, if you're awakened, you might report some mental activity, perhaps vague thoughts or impressions. But these NREM dreams tend to be more thought-like, less visual, and less emotionally charged than the elaborate narratives of REM. The visual cortex springs to life during REM sleep, creating the rich imagery of dreams. The limbic system, your brain's emotional center, activates intensely, which explains why dreams can be so emotionally powerful, filled with fear, joy, sadness, or confusion that feels absolutely real. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logical thinking and reality testing, shows reduced activity during dreaming. This is why dreams can seem completely logical while you're experiencing them, even when they violate all rules of physics and reality. Your critical thinking is offline, allowing impossible scenarios to unfold without triggering skepticism. Most people dream for about 2 hours total each night, spread across multiple REM periods. You might have 4, 5, or even 6 different dreams in a single night, though you'll likely remember only fragments of them, if any at all. Dreams are extraordinarily fragile. Unless you wake up directly from a dream, or within a few minutes of it ending, the memory vanishes almost completely. Even dreams that felt intense and significant while you were experiencing them can evaporate within seconds of waking. This rapid forgetting is one of sleep's great mysteries. Your hippocampus and other memory-related brain regions show high activity during REM sleep, yet you remember so few of your dreams. Some researchers think the neurochemical environment of the dreaming brain, specifically low levels of norepinephrine, makes it difficult to form lasting memories of the experience. The brain during REM seems optimized for creating experience, not for recording it. The content of dreams varies wildly, but certain themes recur across cultures and throughout history. People commonly dream about being chased, falling, flying, showing up somewhere unprepared or inappropriately dressed, teeth falling out, or being unable to move or speak. Researchers have catalogued these common dream themes across thousands of people from different countries and backgrounds, finding striking similarities in what humans dream about. This doesn't necessarily mean these dreams carry universal symbolic meanings, as some older theories suggested. More likely, dreams incorporate common human experiences, anxieties, and desires. You dream about falling because you've experienced falling or fear of falling. You dream about being unprepared because you felt unprepared in waking life. Most dreams draw heavily from recent experiences, incorporating people you know, places you've been, and events from the past few days, though often in scrambled, transformed ways. The brain seems to be pulling from recent memories and recombining them in novel patterns. But why do we dream at all? This question has generated countless theories over the centuries, and scientists still don't fully agree on the answer. Sigmund Freud famously proposed that dreams were the fulfillment of unconscious wishes, that they revealed hidden desires and conflicts. Carl Jung disagreed, seeing dreams as more than personal wish fulfillment, believing they connected to a collective unconscious shared by all humanity. Modern neuroscience offers different perspectives. The activation synthesis hypothesis, proposed in the late 20th century, suggested that dreams are essentially meaningless, just the brain's attempt to create narrative sense out of random neural firing during REM sleep. According to this view, the brainstem sends up bursts of random activity, and the cortex does its best to weave these signals into something coherent, resulting in the bizarre storylines of dreams. More recent theories assign dreams greater purpose. The threat simulation theory proposes that dreams serve as a kind of evolutionary rehearsal, allowing us to practice responses to threatening situations in a safe environment. During REM sleep, the amygdala, your brain's threat detection system, fires in patterns similar to how it responds during actual dangers in waking life. By repeatedly simulating threats and our responses to them, dreams might help us prepare for real dangers, an ancient survival mechanism preserved in modern humans, even though we face fewer life or death threats than our ancestors did. Another theory, the overfitted brain hypothesis, draws on machine learning concepts, suggesting that dreams introduce randomness into our thought patterns to prevent the brain from becoming too specialized or rigid in how it processes information. Just as adding noise to training data helps artificial intelligence systems generalize better, dreams might keep your brain flexible and adaptable by mixing up your memories and experiences in novel ways. Perhaps the most supported current theory is that dreams play a crucial role in emotional processing. During REM sleep, levels of norepinephrine, a stress-related neurotransmitter, drop to their lowest point of the entire day-night cycle. This creates a neurochemical environment where you can replay emotionally charged experiences without the stress response those experiences would normally trigger. Your brain essentially strips away the emotional intensity from memories, allowing you to process difficult experiences without being overwhelmed by them. This might explain why inadequate REM sleep is so strongly linked to mood disorders. Without sufficient time in this emotionally safe processing state, negative experiences and emotions accumulate without resolution. Dreams, in this view, aren't meaningless noise. They're your brain's nightly therapy session, a way of working through feelings and experiences so you can face new days with emotional clarity. There's also growing evidence that dreams contribute to memory consolidation and creative problem solving. People who dream about a task they recently learned often show improved performance when tested later. The content of the dream doesn't need to be a literal replay of the task. What matters is that the brain regions involved in the task reactivate during REM sleep. Students who dream about study material, even in abstract or symbolic ways, tend to remember it better. Musicians who dream about their instruments show faster skill development. The brain during REM seems to be reviewing, reorganizing, and integrating new information, finding patterns and connections that might not have been obvious during waking study. There are famous anecdotes about creative breakthroughs coming from dreams, though these stories are difficult to verify. The chemist Auguste Kekule reportedly discovered the ring structure of benzene after dreaming of a snake biting its own tail. Elias Howe claimed the solution to his sewing machine design came in a dream, and composers have described melodies arriving during sleep, though the historical accuracy of these accounts varies. Whether dreams truly enhance creativity, or whether creative people simply remember and value their dreams more, remains debated. But many people report that problems that seemed insurmountable before sleep suddenly have obvious solutions come morning. Not all dreams are equal in how you experience them. Ordinary dreams happen to you. You're a passive observer or participant, swept along by the dream's narrative, without control or even awareness that you're dreaming. But some people experience lucid dreams, where they become aware they're dreaming while the dream is still happening. This is a remarkable state of consciousness, a hybrid condition where you're simultaneously asleep and aware, dreaming yet conscious of the fact. Lucid dreamers often report being able to exert some control over their dreams, choosing to fly, changing the scenery, or confronting nightmare figures with the knowledge that none of it is real. Studies suggest that somewhere between 50 and 70% of people have experienced at least one lucid dream in their lifetime, though frequent lucid dreaming is much rarer. Some people can train themselves to lucid dream more often through various techniques, reality testing during the day, keeping dream journals, or using specific methods to trigger awareness during REM sleep. Lucid dreaming appears to involve increased activity in the prefrontal cortex compared to regular dreaming, that part of the brain responsible for self-awareness and metacognition coming partially back online while REM sleep continues. It's a fascinating in-between state that neuroscientists are still working to fully understand. Some researchers are exploring lucid dreaming as a potential treatment for nightmares, particularly those associated with post-traumatic stress disorder. If you can become lucid during a nightmare, you might be able to change its course, confront the frightening elements, or simply choose to wake up. Early studies show promise, suggesting that lucid dream training can reduce nightmare frequency and intensity for some people. However, lucid dreaming isn't without potential drawbacks. Some people report that it makes sleep feel less restful, as if the mental activity of awareness and control prevents full restoration. There's also a risk that frequent lucid dreamers might sometimes have difficulty distinguishing dreams from reality, particularly if they're prone to other dissociative experiences. Closely related to lucid dreaming is sleep paralysis, though the emotional tone of these experiences couldn't be more different. Sleep paralysis happens when you wake up or are falling asleep while your body is still in the REM sleep state of muscle atonia. You're conscious, aware of your surroundings, but completely unable to move or speak. This can last anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes, and for many people, it's absolutely terrifying. The inability to move often triggers panic, and because sleep paralysis frequently occurs during the transition in or out of REM sleep, it's often accompanied by hallucinations, visual, auditory, or sensory experiences that can be intensely frightening. People report seeing shadowy figures in the room, feeling a weight on their chest, sensing a malevolent presence, or hearing strange sounds. These hallucinations likely arise from the same brain mechanisms that create dreams, but because you're partially awake and in your actual bedroom, they feel much more real and threatening than ordinary dreams. Sleep paralysis has been reported across cultures and throughout history. The phenomenon of the night hag or old hag in folklore, a malevolent being that sits on sleepers' chests and prevents them from moving, likely describes sleep paralysis experiences. Various cultures have their own names and explanations for it. What neuroscience now understands is that sleep paralysis represents a temporary mismatch between consciousness and muscle control. Normally, you either have muscle control and consciousness during waking, or you lack both during sleep. Sleep paralysis is the unfortunate glitch where consciousness returns, but muscle control hasn't yet. It's generally harmless, though deeply unpleasant. Stress, irregular sleep schedules, sleep deprivation, and sleeping on your back can all increase the likelihood of experiencing sleep paralysis. For most people, episodes are rare and random, but for some, they occur frequently enough to cause significant distress and even fear of going to sleep. Interestingly, research shows that lucid dreaming and sleep paralysis are positively correlated. People who experience one are more likely to also experience the other, possibly because both involve that in-between state where REM sleep characteristics and waking consciousness overlap. Some lucid dreamers report being able to transition intentionally into or out of sleep paralysis, using it as a gateway to lucid dreams. Others find that attempting to lucid dream increases their chances of experiencing sleep paralysis episodes, an unwelcome side effect of practices meant to increase dream awareness. The relationship between these phenomena highlights how fuzzy the boundaries between sleep and wakefulness can sometimes be, how consciousness exists on a spectrum rather than as a simple on-off switch. While dreams and their mysteries captivate our imagination, sleep serves another crucial function that's arguably even more important: the consolidation of memories and the integration of learning. When you learn something new during the day, whether it's a fact, a skill, or an experience, that information initially exists in a fragile, temporary form. The neural connections that encode the new memory are weak and susceptible to interference. Consolidation is the process by which these fragile traces are strengthened and integrated into your existing network of long-term memories, transforming from temporary impressions into lasting knowledge. And a substantial body of research now shows that sleep, particularly certain stages of sleep, plays an indispensable role in this process. The evidence comes from multiple angles. Behavioral studies consistently show that people who sleep after learning perform better on memory tests than people who stay awake for an equivalent period. This isn't just about being more alert during testing. Even when researchers control for alertness and time of day effects, sleep provides a benefit beyond simple rest. Students who study material and then sleep before being tested recall more information than students who study and stay awake. Musicians who practice a piece and then sleep show more improvement in their playing than musicians who practice and remain awake. The benefit extends across different types of learning, from memorizing vocabulary words to mastering motor skills to understanding complex concepts. What's happening in the brain during sleep that provides this benefit? During slow-wave sleep, particularly stage 3, neurons that were active during learning fire again, in the same patterns they used when you initially encoded the information. This phenomenon, called neural replay or reactivation, has been directly observed in animal studies. Researchers can record from individual neurons in the hippocampus of rats as they navigate a maze, identifying which neurons fire when the rat is in specific locations. Then, when the rat later enters slow-wave sleep, those same neurons fire again in the same sequence, as if the rat's brain is replaying its journey through the maze. This replay happens on a compressed timescale, much faster than the original experience, and it occurs hundreds or thousands of times during a single sleep period. Each replay strengthens the neural connections that encode the memory. Human studies using brain imaging have found similar patterns of reactivation. Brain regions that showed high activity during learning of a task become active again during subsequent sleep. The degree of reactivation during sleep predicts how much the person's memory will have improved by morning. This suggests that replay isn't just a passive echo of activity. It's actively strengthening the memory, reinforcing the neural pathways, integrating the new information with existing knowledge stored in the cortex. The hippocampus seems to act as a temporary storage site for new memories, and during sleep, particularly during the sharp wave ripples that occur in stage 3 sleep, the hippocampus essentially teaches the cortex, transferring the memory from temporary to more permanent storage. This hippocampus to cortex dialogue is thought to be fundamental to memory consolidation. Different types of memories seem to benefit preferentially from different sleep stages. Declarative memories, the conscious recall of facts and events, appear to consolidate primarily during slow-wave sleep, those deep NREM periods rich in delta waves. Procedural memories, the unconscious memory for skills and habits like riding a bike or typing on a keyboard, show stronger consolidation during REM sleep. This isn't a hard and fast rule. There's overlap and interaction between sleep stages, but the pattern suggests that the brain uses different neural mechanisms during different sleep stages to handle different kinds of information. Depriving someone specifically of REM sleep or slow-wave sleep can impair different aspects of memory consolidation, providing experimental support for the idea that these sleep stages serve distinct functions. Sleep doesn't just preserve memories exactly as they were encoded. It actively transforms them, extracting key features and integrating them into broader schemas and patterns of knowledge. After sleep, people are better at seeing the gist or general principle underlying a set of examples, even if they remember fewer of the specific details. They're better at finding hidden rules or patterns in information they were exposed to before sleep. They're better at solving problems that require insight or creative reorganization of known information. This suggests that during sleep, the brain isn't simply strengthening memories passively. It's actively working with them, finding connections, extracting meaning, reorganizing information in ways that make it more useful for future thinking. You go to sleep with a collection of individual experiences and wake up with integrated understanding. The neurochemical environment during different sleep stages creates optimal conditions for different types of neuroplasticity. During slow-wave sleep, levels of acetylcholine drop very low, which may allow the hippocampus to efficiently transfer information to the cortex without interference from new sensory input. During REM sleep, acetylcholine levels rise again, but norepinephrine levels drop to near zero. creating conditions that might favor different types of synaptic change and memory processing. The brain seems to fine-tune its neurochemical environment across the night to support different aspects of memory consolidation, each stage contributing its unique conditions and mechanisms. Perhaps most strikingly, sleep may help you forget as well as remember. Not everything you experience during the day deserves permanent storage. Much of it is trivial, redundant, or no longer relevant. Researchers increasingly believe that sleep involves active forgetting or pruning of unnecessary information alongside the strengthening of important memories. During sleep, particularly slow-wave sleep, there may be a global downscaling of synaptic connections, a process that reduces the overall strength of neural connections that were strengthened during waking. This downscaling would affect weaker, less important connections more than stronger, repeatedly reinforced ones, providing a way to clear out the mental clutter while preserving what matters. Some evidence suggests that during sleep, your brain flushes out cellular waste products and metabolites that accumulate. During waking, a kind of neural housekeeping that can only happen efficiently when brain activity is reduced. Beta-amyloid proteins, which accumulate abnormally in Alzheimer's disease, appear to be cleared more effectively during sleep, particularly slow-wave sleep. This relationship between sleep and memory helps explain why sleep deprivation has such profound cognitive effects. When you don't get enough sleep, particularly when you miss out on the later morning hours rich in REM sleep, you lose the opportunity to consolidate the previous day's learning. New information remains fragile and is more easily forgotten or confused. Your ability to integrate knowledge and see patterns suffers. Creative problem solving becomes harder, and the effects accumulate. Chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just impair memory of the previous day, it impairs the entire system of learning and memory, making it harder to encode new information in the first place, and harder to retrieve information you've already learned. Students who chronically skimp on sleep to study more end up learning less, a cruel irony that's lost on many who view sleep as an obstacle to productivity rather than an essential component of it. The realization that sleep is crucial for memory has profound implications for education, workplace productivity, and cognitive health across the lifespan. Children and adolescents whose brains are still developing and who are learning at extraordinary rates need more sleep than adults, partly to support all this memory consolidation and neural reorganization. Older adults, who often sleep less and spend less time in slow-wave sleep, may experience accelerated cognitive decline, partly because of inadequate memory consolidation. Optimizing sleep might be one of the most powerful interventions available for improving learning and maintaining cognitive function. Yet, it's often treated as negotiable or even wasteful, when in reality, it's absolutely essential. Understanding the stages of sleep and the landscape of dreams provides a foundation for appreciating sleep's complexity. But there's another crucial system that determines when you sleep and when you wake: the circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythms are biological patterns that operate on approximately a 24-hour cycle, governing not just sleep and wakefulness but also body temperature, hormone release, digestion, and countless other physiological processes. The word circadian comes from the Latin for about a day, and these rhythms are generated by internal biologichical clocks located throughout your body, most importantly in a tiny cluster of neurons in the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This master clock coordinates all the other clocks in your organs and tissues, keeping everything synchronized with the 24-hour rotation of Earth. The suprachiasmatic nucleus receives direct input from specialized cells in your retina, cells that detect light, but don't contribute to vision in the normal sense. Instead, they tell your brain whether it's day or night, When light hits these cells, they send signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which then suppresses the production of melatonin, a hormone that promotes sleep. In darkness, the suppression lifts, and your pineal gland begins secreting melatonin, typically starting about 2 hours before your usual bedtime. Melatonin levels rise throughout the evening and peak in the middle of the night, then drop back to undetectable levels by morning. This cycle of melatonin production is one of the clearest markers of your circadian rhythm, rising and falling with remarkable consistency night after night, as long as you maintain a regular schedule and regular light exposure. But melatonin isn't the only player in the circadian control of sleep. The suprachiasmatic nucleus also influences the release of cortisol, a hormone associated with alertness and stress. Cortisol levels follow the opposite pattern of melatonin, low during the night and rising in the early morning hours, peaking shortly after you wake up. This morning surge of cortisol helps you feel alert and ready to face the day. Throughout the day, the interaction between your circadian system, which generates rhythms of alertness and sleepiness, and your homeostatic sleep drive, which builds pressure to sleep the longer you've been awake, determines how sleepy or alert you feel at any given moment. Early in the day, after a good night's sleep, your homeostatic drive is low, but your circadian system promotes wakefulness, so you feel alert. As the day progresses, homeostatic sleep pressure builds, but your circadian alerting signal also strengthens, counteracting it. By evening, the circadian system's alerting signal weakens, and melatonin rises, and the accumulated homeostatic pressure can finally pull you towards sleep. What's fascinating is that your body's internal circadian period, the natural cycle it would follow without any external cues, is typically not exactly 24 hours. For most people, it's slightly longer, around 24 and a quarter hours. Left in constant darkness with no time cues, your circadian rhythm would drift later and later each day, your sleep and wake times gradually shifting around the clock. Light exposure is what keeps your rhythm synchronized or entrained to the actual 24-hour day. Morning light exposure in particular has a powerful phase-advancing effect, shifting your rhythm earlier so you become sleepy earlier in the evening and wake earlier in the morning. Evening light exposure does the opposite, delaying your rhythm so you become sleepy later and wake later. This is why exposure to bright light from screens late in the evening can interfere with sleep. The blue wavelengths in particular, which are abundant in LED screens, strongly suppress melatonin production and signal to your brain that it's still daytime, delaying the onset of sleepiness. This light-sensitive timing system made perfect sense for most of human history, when the sun was our only major light source. Your circadian rhythm naturally aligned with the solar cycle. You woke when the sun rose, felt alert during daylight, and became sleepy as darkness fell. But in the modern world, with electric lighting, screens, and 24-hour schedules, we can expose ourselves to bright light at any time, including times that confuse our circadian systems and disrupt the carefully timed release of sleep-promoting and wake-promoting signals. Many sleep problems in modern society stem from this disconnect between our biological clocks and our behavioral schedules. Jet lag provides a dramatic example of what happens when your circadian rhythm is suddenly misaligned with the environment. When you fly across multiple time zones, you land in a place where the local time says it's morning, but your internal clock insists it's the middle of the night. You feel sleepy when you're supposed to be awake and alert when you should be sleeping. All your physiological rhythms, not just sleep and wakefulness, are out of sync with the local day-night cycle. Over several days, exposure to light and darkness in the new time zone gradually shifts your circadian rhythm to match the new schedule, a process that typically advances or delays your rhythm by about 1 hour per day. So crossing 6 time zones might require nearly a week to fully adjust. Eastward travel, which requires advancing your rhythm, tends to be harder than westward travel, which requires delaying it, because shifting earlier goes against the natural tendency of most people's circadian systems to run slightly longer than 24 hours. Shift workers face chronic versions of this problem. Working night shifts requires you to stay awake when your circadian system is desperately trying to make you sleep, and to sleep during the day when all your biological signals are promoting wakefulness. Many shift workers never fully adapt to this schedule, particularly if they switch back to a normal schedule on days off. Chronic circadian disruption from shift work is associated with increased risks of various health problems, including cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, mood problems, and even certain cancers. The disruption isn't just about losing sleep, though that's part of it. It's also about the constant misalignment between behavior and internal biological time. The repeated messages to the body that day is night and night is day. Not everyone's circadian rhythm follows the same timing. There's substantial individual variation in what's called chronotype, your natural preference for early or late sleep and wake times. Morning people, sometimes called larks, have circadian rhythms that run faster than 24 hours, or that are more sensitive to morning light, leading them to naturally wake early and feel most alert in the morning. Evening people, or owls, have rhythms that run slower or are more sensitive to evening light, leading them to prefer later bedtimes and wake times, with peak alertness later in the day. These aren't just preferences or habits. They're driven by real differences in circadian biology, influenced by genetics. Chronotype also changes across the lifespan. Young children tend to be morning types. During adolescence, there's a dramatic shift toward evening preference, which is why teenagers naturally want to stay up late and sleep late. This shift reverses in adulthood, with most people gradually becoming more morning-oriented as they age. The teenage shift toward late sleep timing creates serious problems when school schedules require early wake times. Forcing adolescents to wake at dawn goes against their biological drive toward late sleep, essentially creating chronic jet lag that interferes with learning, mood, and health. The discovery of circadian rhythms and their molecular basis earned a Nobel Prize and revolutionized our understanding of sleep disorders. Delayed sleep phase disorder occurs when your circadian rhythm is substantially delayed relative to the schedule you need to keep, making it extremely difficult to fall asleep at a conventional hour or wake up in the morning. Advanced sleep phase disorder is the opposite, an abnormally early rhythm that causes very early sleep onset and wake times. Non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder affects primarily blind individuals whose retinas can't detect light, causing their circadian rhythms to free run without synchronization to the day-night cycle, constantly drifting later. These conditions aren't simply matters of discipline or sleep hygiene. They're fundamental mismatches between biology and schedule, and they can cause serious distress and functional impairment. Treatment for circadian rhythm disorders often involves timed light exposure to shift the rhythm in the desired direction, along with carefully timed doses of melatonin. Taking melatonin in the evening can help advance your rhythm if you're a night owl trying to shift earlier. Taking it in the morning, paradoxically, can delay your rhythm, but timing is crucial, and the optimal schedule depends on your current rhythm and your goals. Light therapy, using specially designed bright light boxes that provide intense illumination similar to natural outdoor light, can be even more powerful for shifting circadian rhythms, particularly when used in the morning to advance your rhythm. The combination of properly timed light exposure and melatonin, along with consistent sleep and wake times, can help realign mismatched circadian rhythms, though it requires patience and persistence. Your biological clock doesn't shift overnight. Understanding circadian rhythms also explains why pulling an all-nighter feels so terrible around 4 in the morning. Your circadian system reaches its lowest point of alertness in the early morning hours, typically between 2 and 6 a.m. This is when your body temperature is at its minimum, when melatonin is at its peak, when every biological signal is saying you should be deeply asleep. Trying to override this with willpower and caffeine is fighting against powerful biological forces. It's also why you might get a second wind around 10 or 11 in the morning, even if you haven't slept. Your circadian alerting signal is strengthening again, temporarily overriding some of the accumulated sleep pressure. But this second wind is misleading. You're still sleep deprived, and the cognitive impairments of that deprivation remain, even if you feel temporarily more awake. Understanding the interplay between circadian rhythms and sleep homeostasis helps explain patterns of sleepiness and alertness that might otherwise seem mysterious. But what happens when sleep goes wrong, when you can't get enough of it, or when its quality deteriorates? Sleep deprivation, whether acute or chronic, affects virtually every system in your body and brain. The most obvious immediate effect is sleepiness itself, that overwhelming desire to close your eyes and drift away. But the consequences extend far beyond simply feeling tired. After just one night of insufficient sleep, cognitive performance declines measurably. Your attention wavers. You have difficulty concentrating on tasks. Your reaction times slow. Simple perceptual motor tasks that you'd normally perform flawlessly become error-prone. Complex tasks requiring sustained attention or working memory, like driving, become considerably more dangerous. Sleepiness while driving is responsible for hundreds of thousands of accidents each year, and a drowsy driver can be just as impaired as an intoxicated one. Memory suffers profoundly from sleep deprivation. Both your ability to form new memories and your ability to retrieve existing ones. Without adequate sleep, particularly the REM-rich sleep of the later morning hours, the memories you tried to form the previous day may never fully consolidate. Students who cram all night before an exam often perform worse than those who study less, but sleep afterward, precisely because the sleep-deprived brain can't effectively consolidate the information. Emotional regulation also deteriorates with sleep loss. After sleep deprivation, people show increased reactivity in the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, and decreased connectivity between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, which normally helps regulate emotional responses. This means small frustrations feel more irritating, minor setbacks feel more devastating, and emotional control becomes much harder. Sleep-deprived people report more negative mood, more anxiety, more irritability. The world just feels harder to cope with. Decision-making and judgment decline after sleep loss, often in ways you don't even notice. You become more impulsive, more likely to take risks, less able to evaluate consequences. You're more easily distracted and less able to maintain focus on long-term goals. Studies of sleep-deprived medical residents, soldiers in training, and other professionals working under sleep restriction show consistent patterns of impaired judgment and increased errors. Perhaps most insidious is that sleep deprivation impairs your ability to accurately judge how impaired you are. Sleep-deprived people often insist they're functioning fine, even as objective measurements show clear deficits in their performance. This false confidence can be dangerous, leading people to drive, work, or make important decisions when they're actually cognitively compromised. Chronic sleep deprivation, consistently getting less than 7 hours per night over extended periods, has been linked to a truly alarming range of health problems. Cardiovascular disease risk increases with chronic short sleep. People who sleep 5 hours or less per night have a substantially elevated risk of developing hypertension, heart disease, and stroke. The mechanisms aren't fully understood, but sleep deprivation activates stress pathways, increases inflammation, and causes sustained elevation of heart rate and blood pressure. Even a single night of inadequate sleep can cause blood pressure to remain elevated the following day in people who already have hypertension. Over months and years, these acute effects accumulate into chronic cardiovascular damage. Metabolic health suffers as well. Chronic sleep deprivation disrupts glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity, increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes. It alters levels of hormones that regulate appetite, increasing ghrelin, which stimulates hunger, and decreasing leptin, which signals fullness, as sleep-deprived people tend to eat more, particularly high-calorie, high-carbohydrate foods, and they're more likely to become obese. The relationship between sleep and weight is bidirectional. Poor sleep promotes weight gain, and obesity causes sleep problems, particularly sleep apnea, creating a difficult cycle to break. Immune function weakens with insufficient sleep. People who sleep less than 7 hours per night are nearly 3 times more likely to develop a cold when exposed to the virus than people who sleep 8 hours or more. Chronic sleep restriction impairs the production and function of various immune cells, reduces the effectiveness of vaccines, and increases susceptibility to infections. Sleep is when your immune system does much of its work, producing cytokines and antibodies, fighting off pathogens. Shortchange your sleep and you shortchange your immune defense. The effects on mental health are equally serious. Chronic sleep problems are both a symptom and a cause of depression and anxiety disorders. Sleep deprivation can trigger or worsen depressive episodes, and depression almost always involves disrupted sleep, whether insomnia or hypersomnia. The relationship is complex and bidirectional, but increasingly, researchers view sleep disturbance not just as a symptom of mental illness, but as a contributing factor that deserves direct treatment. Improving sleep can sometimes improve mood and anxiety, even when those aren't the primary target of intervention. In extreme cases, prolonged complete sleep deprivation can even trigger psychotic symptoms, hallucinations, delusions, and disorganized thinking, though this requires truly extreme deprivation far beyond what most people ever experience. Even mortality itself is associated with sleep duration. Both very short sleep, typically defined as 5 hours or less, and very long sleep, more than 9 or 10 hours, are associated with increased mortality risk compared to 7 to 8 hours. The relationship appears to be U-shaped, with the optimal point somewhere around 7 to 8 hours for most adults. Of course, these are correlations, not proof of causation. People who sleep very little or very much might have underlying health conditions that both affect their sleep and increase their mortality risk independently. But experimental sleep restriction studies in healthy volunteers clearly show that inadequate sleep causes measurable harm across multiple physiological systems, suggesting the relationship isn't simply correlation. The accumulated evidence leaves little doubt that sleep isn't optional or negotiable. It's essential for health, and chronic insufficiency has serious consequences. Yet modern society often treats sleep as an obstacle to productivity, something to be minimized or conquered. The cultural glorification of workaholism, the demands of 24-hour connectivity, the early start times for schools and jobs that conflict with biological sleep needs, all conspire to create an epidemic of sleep deprivation with profound public health consequences. Recognizing sleep as a pillar of health, as important as nutrition and exercise, and creating societal structures that support rather than undermine healthy sleep, represents one of the great public health challenges of the modern era. Sleep requirements and patterns change dramatically across the human lifespan, from the marathon sleeping sessions of newborns to the lighter, more fragmented sleep of old age. Understanding these changes helps explain why sleep problems vary at different life stages and why one-size-fits-all recommendations fall short. Newborn infants sleep 16 to 18 hours per day, but not all at once. Their sleep is distributed across the entire day and night in short bursts, typically 2 to 4 hours at a time. At this age, circadian rhythms haven't yet developed. The suprachiasmatic nucleus exists, but isn't yet fully functional, and the light-detecting pathways from the retina aren't yet mature. Newborns essentially sleep and wake randomly, driven primarily by hunger and comfort, rather than by any internal clock. Their sleep is also structurally different from adult sleep. They enter REM sleep directly, whereas older children and adults enter through NREM, and they spend about 50% of their sleep time in REM compared to the 20 to 25% seen in adults. Researchers believe this high proportion of REM sleep may support the explosive brain development happening in infancy, though the precise mechanisms remain an active area of study. Around 2 to 3 months of age, circadian rhythms begin to emerge. Melatonin production starts to follow a day-night pattern, and sleep begins to consolidate into longer nighttime periods with shorter daytime naps. By 6 months, many infants can sleep for 6 consecutive hours at night, and sleep onset shifts from REM to NREM, more closely resembling adult patterns. Sleep cycles remain much shorter than adult cycles, around 50 to 60 minutes instead of 90 to 120, and total sleep time is still around 14 to 15 hours per day, including naps. Individual variation is enormous though. Some 6-month-olds sleep through the night reliably. Others continue waking frequently, causing significant distress for sleep-deprived parents. These differences appear to have both biological and behavioral components, and what works for one family might not work for another. Young children, ages 2 to 5, typically need 11 to 13 hours of sleep per day, including naps. Napping patterns vary. Some children drop naps early. Others continue napping well into their 4th or 5th year. Resistance to bedtime often peaks during this period as children develop autonomy and test boundaries. Sleep problems are common, from bedtime resistance to night wakings to nightmares and night terrors. Night terrors, which are different from nightmares, occur during stage 3 sleep and involve the child appearing awake and terrified, but actually being deeply asleep and unresponsive. They're more common in young children and typically don't indicate any underlying problem, though they can be very frightening for parents to witness. As children move into school age, sleep needs decrease slightly to around 9 to 12 hours, though individual variation remains substantial. The timing of sleep also starts to show more variation as genetic influences on chronotype begin to assert themselves. Adolescence brings dramatic changes to sleep biology and sleep behavior. Starting around puberty, there's a universal shift toward later sleep times. Teenagers naturally want to stay up later and sleep later, a phenomenon driven by biological changes in circadian timing. The circadian system essentially delays, shifting later by an hour or 2 compared to childhood. This isn't laziness or rebellion. It's a genuine biological shift observed across cultures and even in other mammals during their equivalent of adolescence. At the same time, teenagers need more sleep than they did in late childhood, around 8 to 10 hours per night, because their brains are still developing and they're experiencing rapid physical growth. The combination of delayed circadian timing and increased sleep need creates a perfect storm when early school start times force adolescents to wake at dawn. Many teenagers are chronically sleep deprived during the school week, operating in a state of constant sleep debt that impairs their learning, mood, and health. This has led to growing calls to delay school start times for middle and high schools, aligning schedules better with teenage biology rather than forcing biology to conform to convenience. In adulthood, sleep needs stabilize at around 7 to 9 hours per night for most people, though individual variation persists. Some adults genuinely function well on 6 hours, others need 9 or 10, and these differences appear to have genetic components. Chronotype variation also remains, with some adults being natural early birds and others night owls. But certain pressures of adult life, work schedules, family responsibilities, social obligations, can create chronic conflicts between sleep needs and available time. Many adults accumulate sleep debt across the work week and try to pay it back with sleeping in on weekends, a pattern that creates its own problems. Large discrepancies between weekday and weekend sleep schedules, called social jet lag, can disrupt circadian rhythms and contribute to metabolic and cardiovascular problems similar to those seen in shift workers. As people age into older adulthood, sleep architecture changes again. The amount of stage 3 sleep, that deep, slow wave sleep, decreases significantly. Older adults often spend very little time in stage 3, and some nights, they might not reach it at all. Sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented, with more frequent awakenings during the night. These changes appear to be driven partly by degeneration of neurons in the suprachiasmatic nucleus and in other brain regions involved in generating and maintaining sleep. The deterioration of the medial prefrontal cortex, which produces slow waves, directly reduces slow wave sleep. Older adults also tend to shift toward earlier chronotypes, becoming more morning-oriented and experiencing sleepiness earlier in the evening. They often wake earlier than they'd like, sometimes uncomfortably early. These age-related changes in sleep architecture can create a perception that sleep is less restorative, even when total sleep time is adequate. Many older adults report dissatisfaction with their sleep, even when objective measurements show they're sleeping a reasonable amount. Sleep disorders also become more common with age, particularly sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, and REM sleep behavior disorder, a condition where the normal paralysis of REM sleep is absent, causing people to act out their dreams, sometimes violently. Medications used to manage various chronic health conditions can also interfere with sleep quality. The combination of biological changes, increased prevalence of sleep disorders, and medication effects means that sleep problems are extremely common in older adults, affecting quality of life and potentially contributing to cognitive decline and other health issues. One particularly concerning aspect of age-related sleep changes is their potential contribution to neurodegenerative disease. Deep, slow-wave sleep appears to be when the brain most effectively clears out metabolic waste products, including beta-amyloid proteins that accumulate abnormally in Alzheimer's disease. As slow-wave sleep declines with age, clearance of these proteins may become less efficient, potentially accelerating accumulation and increasing dementia risk. This has led researchers to explore whether interventions to improve slow-wave sleep in older adults might help reduce cognitive decline, a promising area of ongoing investigation. The relationship between sleep, aging, and brain health represents a complex interaction where each factor influences the others, creating either virtuous or vicious cycles, depending on the quality of sleep achieved. Beneath all these patterns of sleep stages circadian rhythms, and age-related changes lies a complex symphony of neural activity and biochemical processes. When you fall asleep, your brain doesn't simply power down. It shifts into different modes of operation, characterized by distinct patterns of electrical activity, neurotransmitter release, and gene expression. The transition from wakefulness to sleep involves widespread changes throughout the nervous system. During waking, neurons that produce acetylcholine, norepinephrine, serotonin, histamine, and hypocretin, collectively called the arousal systems, fire actively, keeping you alert and conscious. As you become drowsy and enter stage 1 sleep, these arousal systems begin to quiet. Neurons in other brain regions, particularly in the preoptic area of the hypothalamus, become active and start inhibiting the arousal systems, using the neurotransmitter GABA. This mutual inhibition creates a flip-flop switch. When arousal systems are active, sleep systems are suppressed, and vice versa. The switch is biseable, strongly favoring either wakefulness or sleep, with relatively brief transitions between them. As you descend into deeper NREM sleep, the thalamus, which normally relays sensory information to the cortex, becomes less responsive to external stimuli. This sensory gating is part of why you don't wake to every small sound or movement. The thalamus isn't completely shut down. It continues to generate rhythmic bursts of activity, including those sleep spindles seen in stage 2, but it's no longer faithfully transmitting information from the outside world. Meanwhile, the cortex begins to generate slow oscillations, the large, synchronized waves of activity that characterize stage 3 sleep. These slow oscillations represent coordinated periods of high activity, when many neurons fire together, alternating with periods of silence, when neurons are quiet. This rhythmic cycling appears to facilitate the transfer of information from the hippocampus to the cortex during memory consolidation. During REM sleep, the neurochemical environment changes dramatically. Acetylcholine levels, which were low during NREM sleep, surge back to waking levels, or even higher. This cholinergic activation helps drive the intense brain activity seen during REM. But crucially, norepinephrine levels drop to nearly zero, lower than at any other time in the 24-hour cycle. The absence of norepinephrine creates conditions that may be optimal for certain types of neural plasticity and emotional processing. Serotonin levels also drop during REM, though not as dramatically as norepinephrine. The brainstem generates the signals that trigger REM sleep, activating the rapid eye movements, the muscle paralysis, and the cortical activation that characterize this state. The paralysis is caused by active inhibition of motor neurons in the spinal cord, preventing the motor commands generated by the dreaming brain from reaching your muscles. Brain imaging studies reveal striking differences in which brain regions are active during different sleep stages. During REM sleep, the visual cortex lights up intensely, consistent with the vivid imagery of dreams. The limbic system, particularly the amygdala, shows high activity, explaining the emotional intensity of dreams. The motor cortex and basal ganglia are also active, generating movement commands that don't result in actual movement because of the paralysis. But the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, involved in logical reasoning and executive control, shows decreased activity, which explains why dreams can seem logical while you're experiencing them despite violating all laws of physics and probability. During REM sleep, particularly stage 3, activity becomes more uniform across the cortex, with widespread synchronized slow oscillations. Metabolic activity decreases, and blood flow to the brain reduces. The brain is doing less overall processing of information and more maintenance and consolidation work. body temperature regulation changes during sleep. Core body temperature drops during the night, reaching its minimum in the early morning hours, then rising again before you wake. This temperature drop is part of the circadian rhythm and may actually facilitate sleep. Taking a warm bath or shower before bed can paradoxically help you fall asleep because it causes blood vessels to dilate, promoting heat loss from your core, which triggers the temperature drop associated with sleep onset. Breathing and heart rate also change during sleep. During NREM sleep, both become slower and more regular compared to waking. During REM sleep, they become faster and more variable again, sometimes approaching waking levels. Breathing during REM can be particularly irregular, with periods of very shallow breathing alternating with deeper breaths. For people with sleep apnea, these breathing irregularities can become dangerous, with repeated pauses in breathing that partially wake the person and fragment sleep. Hormone release follows complex patterns across the sleep-wake cycle. Growth hormone, crucial for tissue repair and growth, releases primarily during stage 3 sleep. Cortisol, which promotes alertness and mobilizes energy, shows low levels during early sleep and then rises in the pre-dawn hours, peaking shortly after waking. Leptin and ghrelin, which regulate appetite, show sleep-dependent patterns that can be disrupted by sleep deprivation, contributing to increased hunger and weight gain. Testosterone production in men requires at least 3 hours of uninterrupted sleep, ideally REM sleep, which is why chronic sleep disruption can affect hormone levels. The intricate coordination of all these physiological changes across the night, the temperature fluctuations, the hormone pulses, the shifts in neurotransmitter levels, the changes in breathing and heart rate, demonstrates that sleep is not a passive state, but an actively regulated, carefully orchestrated process. Gene expression also changes during sleep. Thousands of genes show sleep-dependent expression patterns, being more active during sleep than waking, or vice versa. Genes involved in energy metabolism, cellular maintenance, and protein synthesis tend to be upregulated during sleep. Genes involved in stress responses and inflammation may be downregulated. These molecular level changes explain how chronic sleep deprivation can affect such a wide range of physiological systems. If genes that promote cellular repair are supposed to be active primarily during sleep, then chronically insufficient sleep means those genes don't get expressed adequately, leading to accumulated cellular damage over time. Even the glymphatic system, a relatively recently characterized waste clearance system in the brain, functions primarily during sleep. During sleep, research suggests the spaces between brain cells expand significantly, possibly by as much as 60% in some studies, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely through brain tissue and wash away metabolic waste products. This system is particularly active during slow-wave sleep. Disruption of sleep impairs this clearance, potentially allowing toxic proteins to accumulate. The discovery of the glymphatic system has revolutionized our understanding of why we need sleep, suggesting that one fundamental function is simply to give the brain time to clean itself, a process that apparently can't happen efficiently while we're awake and our neurons are busy with ongoing information processing. All this intricate machinery, the neural circuits, the neurotransmitter systems, the hormonal rhythms, the gene expression patterns, evolved over millions of years to produce the phenomenon we call sleep. And while much remains mysterious, the picture that's emerged is that sleep is far from a passive waste of time. It's a fundamental biological process, essential for brain function, physical health, emotional regulation, and survival itself. Every night, as you drift off, You're embarking on a journey through carefully orchestrated stages, each serving specific purposes, each contributing to the maintenance of your body and mind. And sometimes, in the midst of this essential maintenance, you dream. Beyond the sleep stages and the dreams we've already explored, sleep brings with it a variety of other mysterious phenomena, experiences that range from merely curious to genuinely unsettling. Sleep talking, or somniloquy, is remarkably common, occurring at least occasionally in about 2/3 of people. It can happen during any sleep stage, though the content and character differ depending on the stage. Sleep talking during REM sleep tends to be more coherent, sometimes reflecting dream content, while sleep talking during NREM stages is usually more garbled and difficult to understand. Most people who talk in their sleep have no memory of it. The speech can range from a few mumbled words to lengthy monologues, from whispers to shouts. While popular belief holds that people speak truthfully in their sleep, revealing secrets they'd never share when awake, there's no scientific support for this. Sleep speech is unreliable and shouldn't be taken as meaningful disclosure of hidden thoughts. Sleepwalking, or somnambulism, typically occurs during stage 3 sleep, that deep, slow-wave sleep of the first third of the night. The person appears to be awake, eyes open, moving around, sometimes performing complex actions like walking downstairs or moving objects, but they're actually deeply asleep. The motor cortex is active enough to generate coordinated movement, but consciousness remains offline. People who sleepwalk usually have no memory of the episode when they wake. Sleepwalking is most common in children, affecting up to 15% at least occasionally, and often diminishes with age as the amount of stage 3 sleep decreases. It runs in families, suggesting a genetic component. Sleepwalking can be dangerous if the person encounters stairs, sharp objects, or tries to leave the house. Contrary to popular belief, waking a sleepwalker isn't harmful, though it might confuse and disorient them. The greater danger is letting them continue while they're unconscious and unaware of hazards. Hypnic jerks, those sudden muscle spasms that sometimes occur just as you're falling asleep, are experienced by most people at some point. They're called hypnic jerks or sleep starts, and they typically happen during the transition from wakefulness to stage 1 sleep. The sensation is often accompanied by a feeling of falling, a dream fragment of tripping or missing a step. The cause isn't entirely clear, but they may represent a brief reactivation of motor systems as the brain transitions between states, or they might be caused by mismatched signals as different brain regions fall asleep at slightly different rates. They're generally harmless, though they can be startling enough to jolt you back to full wakefulness, which can be frustrating if you were just about to drift off. Exploding head syndrome sounds far more dramatic and alarming than it actually is. Despite the name, nothing actually explodes. Instead, people experience a loud noise, like a gunshot, a crash, a bang, or an explosion, usually as they're falling asleep or occasionally when waking up. The sound is entirely internal, a kind of auditory hallucination, but it can be quite realistic and frightening. Some people also see flashes of light. The cause is unknown, but it's thought to involve a sudden burst of a neural activity in the auditory cortex or in brain regions that process sound. It's more common than most people realize, affecting perhaps 10 to 15% of people at least once in their lives. It's benign, though unsettling, and some people find that stress or sleep deprivation increases the frequency of episodes. Sleep inertia is that profound grogginess and disorientation you sometimes experience immediately upon waking, particularly if you're awakened suddenly, or if you wake from deep, slow-wave sleep. For several minutes, up to half an hour in some cases, your cognitive abilities remain significantly impaired. You might struggle to think clearly, react slowly, or have difficulty with decision-making. This can be particularly problematic for people who need to perform critical tasks immediately upon waking, like doctors called for emergencies in the middle of the night. Sleep inertia appears to result from the brain regions involved in alertness and cognition taking longer to fully wake up than others. Parts of your brain might still be generating sleep-like activity patterns, even though you're technically awake. The inertia is usually worse when you're sleep-deprived or when awakened from stage 3 sleep, and it tends to be most severe in the early morning hours when circadian alertness is at its nadir. Microsleeps are brief episodes of sleep that occur while you're supposedly awake, typically lasting just a few seconds. They're most common during sleep deprivation, when the homeostatic pressure to sleep becomes overwhelming. During a microsleep, you essentially lose consciousness for a moment, even though your eyes might remain open. You might stare blankly, your eyelids might droop, and you'll be unresponsive to what's happening around you. These are particularly dangerous during activities requiring sustained attention like driving. Many crashes attributed to drivers who weren't drunk or distracted are actually caused by microsleeps, momentary lapses of consciousness that lasted just long enough for the car to drift out of its lane or fail to brake in time. Even people who think they're successfully fighting off sleepiness can experience microsleeps without realizing it, their brain essentially grabbing brief moments of sleep whenever it can. Sleep paralysis, which we touched on earlier in relation to lucid dreaming, deserves more attention because of how common and distressing it is. Surveys suggest that perhaps 40% of people will experience sleep paralysis at least once in their lifetime, and about 8% experience it regularly. During an episode, you're conscious and aware, but completely unable to move or speak, often feeling a weight on your chest, and sometimes experiencing vivid, frightening hallucinations. Episodes typically occur either when falling asleep or when waking up, during the transitions in or out of REM sleep. The paralysis is the same protective mechanism that normally keeps you from acting out dreams, but it's persisting or arriving at the wrong time relative to consciousness. Sleep paralysis episodes are more common in people who are sleep deprived, who have irregular sleep schedules, who sleep on their backs, or who have certain sleep disorders like narcolepsy. For most people, episodes are infrequent enough to be merely frightening curiosities, but for those who experience them often, they can cause significant anxiety about sleep itself. Night terrors, distinct from nightmares, occur during stage 3 sleep, usually in the first few hours after falling asleep. The person, usually a child, suddenly sits up, eyes wide open, screaming or crying intensely, appearing terrified. Heart rate and breathing spike, and the person might thrash around or try to escape from bed. But despite appearing awake and being responsive to the environment, the person is actually deeply asleep and typically won't respond to attempts at consolation. After several minutes, they settle back into sleep, and in the morning, they usually have no memory of the episode. Parents who witness night terrors find them much more upsetting than the child experiencing them. Night terrors are most common in young children and usually resolve as the child grows older. They're different from nightmares, which occur during REM sleep, are remembered upon waking, and involve the person being easily comforted once awake. Nightmares themselves, those frightening dreams that wake you with a pounding heart, are universal human experiences. They're most common in young children, but continue throughout life, with about 5% of adults reporting frequent nightmares. Most nightmares occur during REM sleep, particularly in the later half of the night, when REM periods are longest. The content often involves being chased, attacked, or trapped, facing danger or loss, or experiencing overwhelming fear or helplessness. Nightmares can be triggered by stress trauma, certain medications, sleep disorders that fragment sleep, or even eating close to bedtime, which increases metabolism and brain activity during sleep. Recurrent nightmares, particularly those that replay traumatic events, are a hallmark of post-traumatic stress disorder and can be severe enough to cause people to fear going to sleep. Treatment for chronic nightmares often involves a technique called imagery rehearsal therapy, where people practice reimagining the nightmare with different, less frightening outcomes while awake, which can reduce nightmare frequency when practiced regularly. Sexsomnia, or sleep sex, is a rare parasomnia where people engage in sexual behaviors while asleep, with no memory of the events afterward. Like sleepwalking, it typically occurs during stage 3 sleep, and the person is genuinely unconscious during the episode. This can obviously create serious problems in relationships and has even led to legal complications in cases where the behavior involved other people. Treatment is similar to that for other parasomnias, improving sleep quality, reducing triggers, and sometimes using medications to suppress stage 3 sleep or reduce arousals from it. Sleep-related eating disorder involves people eating during the night while essentially asleep, again, with little or no memory of it afterward. People might prepare and consume food, sometimes unusual combinations, or even non-food items, while in a partially awake state. They typically discover evidence of their nocturnal eating in the morning: dirty dishes, empty containers, crumbs in bed, but have no clear memory of the eating itself. This can lead to weight gain and can be particularly distressing for people trying to manage their eating. It's sometimes associated with certain sleep medications, particularly some of the Z drugs used for insomnia, and it may improve when medications are changed or sleep quality improves through other means. These various sleep phenomena, from the merely curious to the genuinely problematic, highlight how complex the sleep state actually is. Sleep isn't a single monolithic condition. It's a collection of different states, and the transitions between these states and wakefulness can produce a wide range of unusual experiences. Most of these phenomena are benign, if occasionally disconcerting. A few can be distressing enough to require treatment. Understanding them helps demystify the strange experiences that can occur during the night and reassures people that these events, while unusual, are part of the spectrum of normal human sleep behavior. The boundary between sleep and wakefulness is not always as clear as we might think, and the brain's journey through the night can include detours into states that are neither fully asleep nor fully awake, but something in between. As we near the end of our journey through the landscape of sleep and dreams, it's worth stepping back to appreciate just how remarkable this nightly ritual truly is. Every night, you willingly surrender consciousness for hours, entering states of altered awareness where your brain and body perform maintenance and restoration that cannot happen while you're awake. You cycle through stages of sleep with distinct electrical signatures, each serving purposes we're only beginning to fully understand. You dream, creating entire worlds of experience from nothing but neural activity, processing emotions, consolidating memories, perhaps solving problems, or simply entertaining yourself with the mind's inexhaustible creativity. Your circadian rhythm ticks away in the background, orchestrating an intricate symphony of hormones, temperature changes, and physiological adjustments that prepare you for sleep each night and wakefulness each morning. Sleep is not negotiable or optional. It's as essential to life as food or water. Every system in your body depends on it. Your immune system strengthens itself during sleep. Your cardiovascular system gets a reprieve from the demands of waking activity. Your brain consolidates memories, clears away metabolic waste, and reorganizes neural connections. Your emotional regulation depends on adequate REM sleep. Your physical performance and coordination require deep, slow-wave sleep for optimal restoration. Chronic sleep deprivation doesn't just make you tired, it increases your risk of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, and cognitive decline. It impairs your judgment, weakens your immune system, and shortens your lifespan. Yet, modern life conspires against healthy sleep in countless ways. Electric light and screens expose us to brightness long after sunset, suppressing melatonin and delaying sleep. Work demands, social obligations, and entertainment options all compete for hours that should be spent sleeping. Cultural attitudes often celebrate sleep deprivation as a sign of dedication or productivity, when in reality, it impairs performance more than it enhances it. Schools start far too early for adolescent circadian rhythms. Shift work forces millions to fight against their biology. The 24-hour availability of stimulation and distraction makes it easier than ever to sacrifice sleep for other priorities. Reclaiming healthy sleep requires both individual choices and societal changes. At the individual level, it means prioritizing sleep, giving it the same importance you'd give to diet or exercise. It means maintaining consistent sleep and wake times, even on weekends, to keep your circadian rhythm stable. It means creating a sleep environment that's dark, quiet, and cool. It means limiting screen time in the evening and getting bright light exposure, preferably from sunlight, in the morning. It means being careful with caffeine and alcohol, both of which can disrupt sleep architecture. It means addressing sleep disorders when they occur, rather than simply accepting poor sleep as inevitable. And crucially, it means giving yourself enough time in bed to actually get the sleep you need, typically 7 to 9 hours for most adults. At the societal level, it requires rethinking schedules and expectations that systematically deprive people of adequate sleep. It might mean later school start times for adolescents. It might mean reconsidering the necessity of very early work start times or long commutes that force people to wake before their biology is ready. It might mean better protection for workers' right to adequate rest between shifts. It might mean public health campaigns that emphasize the importance of sleep as strongly as campaigns about nutrition or exercise. The costs of our collective sleep deprivation are staggering in terms of healthcare expenses, lost productivity, accidents, and diminished quality of life. Addressing this crisis would benefit everyone as you drift towards sleep tonight. Perhaps after listening to these facts about sleep and dreams, you can appreciate the extraordinary process you're about to undergo. You're not simply switching off or wasting time. You're embarking on a journey through carefully orchestrated stages, each essential to your health and well-being. Your brain will replay memories, strengthening and reorganizing them. Your body will repair tissues, strengthen immunity, and regulate metabolism. You might dream, experiencing the strange creativity of your sleeping mind, processing emotions, or simply wandering through impossible landscapes generated by your own neural activity. And through it all, your circadian rhythm will tick away, preparing you to wake refreshed and ready for another day. 100 facts about sleep and dreams, each revealing something about this fundamental aspect of human existence. We've covered the architecture of sleep cycles and stages, the neuroscience of REM and NREM sleep, the fascinating world of dreams and their possible functions, the critical role of sleep in memory consolidation and learning, the circadian rhythms that orchestrate our sleep-wake cycles, the profound consequences of sleep deprivation, the changes in sleep across the lifespan, and the various mysterious phenomena that can occur during the night. What emerges from all these facts is a picture of sleep, not as a passive absence of wakefulness, but as an active, essential process that maintains and restores every aspect of who we are. If these explorations have helped you unwind, if they've given you a peaceful way to end your day or sparked your curiosity about the science of sleep, please consider liking this video and subscribing to Whispered Knowledge. It helps this channel reach others who might benefit from these gentle, fact-filled journeys into various topics. There's so much more to explore, so many subjects that can be approached with the same combination of accurate information and soothing delivery. For now, let yourself drift. Let the facts settle into your mind like snowflakes, each one landing softly and quietly. Tonight, as you sleep, remember that you're participating in one of nature's most essential processes, one shared by virtually all animals with complex nervous systems, one that has been refined over hundreds of millions of years of evolution. Your sleep matters. Your dreams matter. The restoration happening in your brain and body matters. Give yourself the gift of enough time to sleep, and your sleep will give you the gift of health, alertness, emotional balance, and the cognitive clarity you need to live your best life. Sleep well, and may your dreams be gentle. Good night. The relationship between sleep and the immune system extends far beyond simply resting to recover from illness. During sleep, your immune system produces protective proteins called cytokines, some of which promote sleep itself, while others are needed to fight infection and inflammation. Certain cytokines need to increase when you have an infection, or when you're under stress, and sleep deprivation can decrease production of these protective cytokines. Infection-fighting antibodies and cells are reduced during periods when you don't get enough sleep, which is why you're more vulnerable to illness when you're not sleeping well. Vaccines work less effectively in sleep-deprived people. Studies have shown that people who don't get adequate sleep in the week after receiving a vaccine produce significantly fewer antibodies than those who sleep normally. This means that chronic sleep deprivation can actually undermine your body's ability to build immunity, even when you're actively trying to protect yourself through vaccination. The glymphatic system, characterized through research over the past couple of decades, has significantly advanced our understanding of why sleep is so absolutely essential for brain health. This waste clearance system, which research indicates is substantially more active during sleep than during waking hours, functions like the brain's own sanitation department. During sleep, particularly during slow-wave sleep, studies suggest the space between brain cells can expand significantly. Cerebrospinal fluid then flows through these widened channels, flushing out metabolic waste products that have accumulated during waking hours. Among the waste products cleared by this system are beta-amyloid proteins, which form the plaques characteristic of Alzheimer's disease, and tau proteins, which form the tangles seen in various neurodegenerative conditions. The accumulation of these proteins is thought to be toxic to neurons, and their buildup is strongly associated with cognitive decline and dementia. The glymphatic system's enhanced activity during sleep may be one reason why chronic sleep deprivation is associated with increased risk of Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Without adequate sleep, these toxic proteins aren't cleared efficiently, and they accumulate over months and years, potentially causing progressive damage to neural circuits. Temperature regulation during sleep follows fascinating patterns that most people never consciously notice. Your core body temperature follows a circadian rhythm, reaching its maximum in the early evening and its minimum in the early morning hours, usually around 4 or 5 a.m. This temperature drop is not merely a consequence of sleep, but appears to be part of the mechanism that promotes sleep. The process of falling asleep is associated with heat loss from your core body temperature to your periphery, which is why having warm hands and feet can actually help you fall asleep, as it facilitates this heat dissipation. Taking a warm bath or shower an hour or two before bed can help you sleep better, not because the warmth itself is relaxing, but because it causes blood vessels to dilate. And when you step out of the bath, your body radiates heat rapidly, causing your core temperature to drop. This drop mimics the natural temperature decline associated with sleep onset, potentially helping you fall asleep faster. This is also why sleeping in a room that's too warm can interfere with sleep. Your body can't achieve the temperature drop it needs for optimal sleep when the environment is maintaining your warmth. The phenomenon of sleep debt is both real and concerning. Unlike financial debt, you can't simply declare bankruptcy on sleep debt and start fresh. When you consistently sleep less than your body needs, the deficit accumulates over time. If you need 8 hours of sleep per night, but only get 6, you're accruing 2 hours of sleep debt each night. Over a week, that's 14 hours of debt, the equivalent of missing almost 2 full nights of sleep. While you can partially pay back sleep debt by sleeping more on subsequent nights, the payback isn't one-to-one. Sleeping in on weekends might help you feel more refreshed, but it doesn't fully compensate for the chronic deprivation accumulated during the work week. Moreover, large discrepancies between weekday and weekend sleep schedules create what researchers call social jet lag, a misalignment between your biological rhythms and your social schedule that has its own health consequences, similar to those experienced by shift workers or travelers crossing time zones. The healthiest approach is to maintain consistent sleep and wake times and to consistently meet your sleep needs rather than attempting to catch up on weekends. Dreams serve as a window into the processing happening in our sleeping brains, but they also raise profound questions about the nature of consciousness itself. During a dream, you have subjective experiences that feel absolutely real. You see, hear, feel, and react to a world that exists nowhere but in your own neural activity. You have conversations with people who aren't there. You experience emotions in response to situations that aren't happening. Yet, while you're dreaming, the experience is indistinguishable from waking reality. This raises fascinating philosophical questions that neuroscientists and philosophers continue to debate. If consciousness can be generated purely by internal brain activity, with no sensory input from the external world, what might this tell us about the nature of waking consciousness? The study of dreams has implications not just for understanding sleep, but for understanding consciousness, the relationship between brain activity and subjective experience, and how our minds construct the reality we perceive. The timing of when you sleep matters almost as much as how much you sleep. Your circadian rhythm creates windows of opportunity for high-quality sleep and windows when sleep will be difficult or of poor quality, regardless of how tired you are. This is why people who work night shifts often struggle to sleep during the day, even when they're exhausted. Their circadian system is actively promoting wakefulness during daytime hours, fighting against their attempt to sleep. Similarly, if you try to sleep too early in the evening, before your circadian system has initiated its sleep-promoting signals, you may find it difficult to fall asleep, even if you're tired. The ideal time to sleep is when your circadian rhythm, your melatonin production, and your homeostatic sleep drive all align, typically in the late evening and nighttime hours for most people. Fighting against your circadian rhythm by sleeping at unusual times can result in sleep that's lighter, more fragmented, and less restorative. Even if you spend adequate time in bed, sleep and pain have a bidirectional relationship that creates challenging cycles for people with chronic pain conditions. Poor sleep lowers your pain threshold, making you more sensitive to painful stimuli and more likely to experience pain in response to sensations that wouldn't normally hurt. Sleep deprivation also impairs your body's natural pain-inhibiting systems, reducing your ability to modulate and cope with pain. At the same time, pain interferes with sleep, making it difficult to fall asleep, causing frequent awakenings, and reducing the amount of deep restorative sleep you get. This creates a vicious cycle where pain disrupts sleep and poor sleep amplifies pain, each problem making the other worse. Breaking this cycle often requires treating both the pain and the sleep problem simultaneously, recognizing that improving sleep can reduce pain and managing pain can improve sleep. For people with conditions like fibromyalgia, arthritis, or chronic back pain, sleep quality often correlates closely with pain levels, and interventions that improve sleep can sometimes provide significant pain relief, even without directly targeting the source of the pain. The practice of sleeping in complete darkness throughout human history was disrupted only very recently with the invention of electric lighting. For millions of years of human evolution, the only light available after sunset was from fire, which produces light primarily in the red and orange wavelengths that don't strongly suppress melatonin production. The moon provided minimal light, and most of human sleep throughout history occurred in near total darkness. Our circadian systems evolved in this environment, developing exquisite sensitivity to light as a signal of day and darkness as a signal of night. The modern environment, with its electric lights, screens, and 24-hour illumination, represents a radical change that our biology hasn't had time to adapt to. The blue wavelengths produced by LED lights and screens are particularly effective at suppressing melatonin production and shifting circadian rhythms because these wavelengths closely resemble daylight. This means that evening exposure to screens can delay your circadian rhythm, pushing your natural sleep time later and making it harder to fall asleep at a conventional hour. Some people use blue light blocking glasses or screen filters in the evening to reduce this effect, though the evidence for their effectiveness is mixed. What's clear is that bright light exposure in the evening, particularly blue light, can interfere with sleep, and reducing exposure in the hours before bedtime can help maintain healthy sleep timing. Napping represents a complex topic in sleep science, with effects that depend heavily on timing, duration, and individual factors. Short naps of 20 to 30 minutes can provide benefits in alertness and performance without causing sleep inertia or interfering with nighttime sleep. These brief naps allow you to enter stage 1 and stage 2 sleep, gaining some rest without descending into the deep, slow wave sleep of stage 3, from which awakening is difficult and disorienting. Longer naps of 90 minutes or more allow you to complete a full sleep cycle, potentially providing more substantial restoration, but also potentially interfering with your nighttime sleep by reducing homeostatic sleep pressure. The timing of naps also matters. Early afternoon is typically the optimal time for napping, as it coincides with a natural dip in circadian alertness that occurs in most people around mid-afternoon. Napping too late in the day can make it harder to fall asleep at your normal bedtime. For some people, napping is essential, compensating for insufficient nighttime sleep or meeting genuinely higher sleep needs. For others, napping indicates an underlying sleep problem that should be addressed. A sudden increase in napping, particularly involuntary napping or falling asleep at inappropriate times, can signal a sleep disorder or other health issue that deserves medical attention. The prevalence of sleep disorders in modern society represents a serious and often unrecognized public health problem. An estimated 50 to 70 million Americans suffer from some form of sleep disorder, yet most cases remain undiagnosed and untreated. Obstructive sleep apnea, one of the most common sleep disorders, is estimated to affect at least 10% of adults, and possibly many more, Yet studies suggest that a large majority of cases, perhaps 70 to 90%, are never formally diagnosed. In sleep apnea, the airway repeatedly collapses during sleep, causing breathing to stop for periods ranging from a few seconds to more than a minute. These breathing pauses trigger partial awakenings that fragment sleep, preventing the deep, restorative sleep stages from occurring. People with sleep apnea often don't remember these awakenings and may be unaware they have a problem, despite experiencing severe daytime sleepiness, fatigue, and cognitive impairment. Untreated sleep apnea increases the risk of high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and accidents. Yet, because symptoms like snoring and daytime sleepiness are often dismissed as normal or not worth mentioning to doctors, the condition frequently goes unrecognized until it causes serious health consequences. Other sleep disorders, from restless leg syndrome to narcolepsy to circadian rhythm disorders, similarly affect millions of people, impairing quality of life and health while remaining largely hidden and untreated. The sleep environment plays a crucial role in sleep quality, yet it's often overlooked. The ideal sleep environment is cool, dark, quiet, and comfortable. Temperature is particularly important, as a room that's too warm can interfere with the natural drop in core body temperature that accompanies sleep, making it harder to fall asleep and reducing the amount of deep sleep you get. Most experts recommend a bedroom temperature somewhere between 60 and 67 degrees Fahrenheit, though individual preferences vary. Darkness is equally important, as even small amounts of light can suppress melatonin production and disrupt sleep. Light from street lamps, digital clocks, or electronic devices can all interfere with sleep quality. Some people benefit from blackout curtains or eye masks to create complete darkness. Noise can fragment sleep, causing brief arousals that you may not consciously remember, but that prevent deep sleep from occurring. For people who can't eliminate environmental noise, white noise machines or earplugs can help. The comfort of your mattress and pillows also matters, as physical discomfort can prevent deep, restorative sleep. These environmental factors might seem trivial, but their cumulative effect on sleep quality can be substantial, and addressing them is often one of the simplest and most effective ways to improve sleep. The economic costs of insufficient sleep extend far beyond individual health impacts. Sleep deprivation costs the American economy hundreds of billions of dollars annually in lost productivity, medical expenses, and accidents. Workers who are chronically sleep deprived are less productive, make more errors, have more accidents, and take more sick days than well-rested workers. Industries ranging from healthcare to transportation to manufacturing all suffer from the effects of sleep deprivation among their workforce. Medical errors, many of which are attributable at least in part to physician fatigue, cause tens of thousands of deaths annually and cost billions in liability and additional treatment. Drowsy driving causes thousands of fatal crashes each year, with economic costs in the tens of billions. When you add in the healthcare costs of treating the chronic diseases that sleep deprivation contributes to, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, obesity, depression, the total economic burden of insufficient sleep becomes staggering. Yet despite these enormous costs, sleep health receives relatively little attention in public health policy and workplace regulation compared to other health risks. Recognizing sleep as a crucial determinant of health and productivity, and creating policies and practices that support rather than undermine healthy sleep could provide enormous economic and social benefits. The relationship between sleep and mental health is so tight that it's sometimes difficult to determine which is cause and which is effect. Nearly all psychiatric conditions involve disrupted sleep. Depression typically causes either insomnia or hypersomnia. Anxiety interferes with the ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. Bipolar disorder involves dramatic changes in sleep patterns during manic and depressive episodes, and schizophrenia is associated with severe sleep disruption and abnormal sleep architecture. For many years, these sleep problems were viewed simply as symptoms of the underlying psychiatric condition, things that would improve once the mental illness was treated. But increasingly, researchers recognize that sleep disruption is not just a symptom, but a contributing factor to mental illness. Poor sleep can trigger psychiatric episodes, worsen symptoms, and impair response to treatment. Conversely, improving sleep can sometimes improve psychiatric symptoms, even when sleep isn't the primary focus of treatment. This has led to the development of treatments that specifically target sleep problems in people with mental illness, recognizing that addressing sleep can be an important component of overall psychiatric care. The bidirectional relationship between sleep and mental health means that promoting good sleep is both a way to prevent mental health problems and a way to help treat them once they've developed. As we bring this exploration of sleep and dreams to a close, having wandered through 100 different facets of this essential aspect of human existence, perhaps what's most striking is how much mystery remains. Despite decades of intensive research, despite enormous advances in our understanding of brain function and circadian biology, we still can't fully answer the most basic question: why do we sleep at all? We know many things that happen during sleep: the consolidation of memories, the clearance of metabolic waste, the regulation of hormones, the processing of emotions. But is there one fundamental purpose of sleep, or is it a collection of various functions that happen to occur during this altered state of consciousness? Why did evolution tie all these important processes to a state where we're unconscious and vulnerable to predators? Couldn't the brain consolidate memories or clear waste while we're awake? The fact that sleep is universal among animals with complex nervous systems, that sleep deprivation is ultimately fatal, that we spend a third of our lives doing it, all suggest that sleep serves some truly essential purpose that can't be accomplished any other way. Yet, what that purpose is, at the deepest level, remains one of neuroscience's great unanswered questions. What we do know with certainty is that sleep is not optional. It's not a luxury or a waste of time. It's a fundamental biological necessity, as essential to health and survival as food or water. Every night, as you close your eyes and surrender to sleep, you're engaging in a process that has been honed by hundreds of millions of years of evolution, a process that maintains and restores every aspect of your physical and mental functioning. Your sleep matters. The quality of your sleep affects the quality of your waking life in countless ways, from your mood and energy to your cognitive performance and physical health. Treating sleep as a priority, protecting your sleep time, creating conditions that support high-quality sleep, these aren't acts of self-indulgence. They're fundamental components of self-care and health maintenance. In a culture that often glorifies sleeplessness and treats sleep as something to be minimized or conquered, recognizing sleep as essential and protecting it accordingly represents an important step toward better health and well-being. Sweet dreams, and may your sleep be deep, restorative, and filled with the gentle mysteries of the night.